Welcome to the Chat with Chou podcast, hosted by Chou, well-being and belonging consultant, best-selling author, and sought-after speaker. Join Chou as she connects with both new and familiar faces, showcasing their inspiring work and businesses. Together, we will explore insightful conversations, practical tips, and valuable resources aimed at fostering individual and collective growth, both personally and professionally. Let's embark on this journey towards greater well-being and belonging together. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Chat with Chou podcast. Today, I have a new friend with me. Jonathan is here with me. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, so you do such amazing work, with I know you own two companies and that all kind of relate to gaming, AI, e-commerce. You've been recognized for your work, and I want to learn more about that. So who are you? What do you do? And just share a little bit about that with us.
No, thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm my ethos is kind of how do we serve and help people to get more value out
Mm,
of their experiences, whatever purpose that they have in life.
yeah.
And I tend to get a lot of meaning out of technology and how do you apply technology with human capital in a meaningful way to
Mm,
bring value to the end consumer. And so all throughout my career, whether I was in operations, whether I was in different services roles, the different companies I founded, I've always asked myself the question like, is what I'm doing today delivering 10x value for
mm,
whoever that I'm engaging and I'm providing this service for? And that's always kind of been my MO and really thinking through like, well, what do I need to do that? And if something hasn't been invented, what do I need to invent to help accelerate that? And earlier in my career, it sounds silly now, but I remember early in my career when I was like password reset automation is the key, and it was 2002. All right. Now
mm.
that's like whatever. But I saved a company 40% of their customer service budget
Wow.
because of password reset automation. But now I've been really focused on AI, how we can use large language models and agentic AI to
Mm,
really think through and help service companies and other companies leverage their data as a superpower, leverage their humans as a superpower, and make them more productive and more meaningful for the
mm.
impact, not only for their careers, but also for the business overall.
Yeah, beautiful. I love your ethos, right? I love that your foundation is to do good work that's meaningful, that's impactful, that leave lasting, benefits for all, right? Because sometimes when people, those of us who are not in technology, many people just think, well, it's just technology for technology's sake, right? And it's not that, right? So it's good to hear for someone who's, in it for all this time, but doing it from a very I'm trying to find the word here, but doing from a very humanistic, approach, right? Like, as a foundation for why you're doing it. So I love that. So with all of that, you had created Quimby, I hope I'm saying it right,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is a super agent AI tool. So tell us more about that.
Well, so many years I was in customer services and services. And one of the things that really frustrated the agents, the team that I worked with, was the manual nature of the administration component of their job, right? And
Yeah.
I think one of the things that frustrated like leadership was, how do we get more bang for the buck out of the people and value. And then there's always been this tension of, we need more money to deliver a better experience. We need to shave budget to meet our earnings per share or, our shareholder value. And usually shareholder value would win out, right? Because
Mm,
shareholder value is short term and lifetime value is long term when it comes to customers. And so what John, my co-founder, and I, and Scott as well, what we all thought about was like, well, how do we create a super agent that can help the people that are supporting customers be 6 times more productive and therefore work on meaty, more interesting items and get more
mm,
purpose out of the work. But then it also provides optimization capabilities for the shareholder value. And so that's where we created Quimby, the super agent, because what it essentially does is it integrates into the back end of all the different data sources, the CRM, the database, the knowledge base,
mhm,
the GitHub, the bug system, all this stuff. And it basically creates kind of an, for lack of a better term, an Iron Man version of customer service as a partner to help
Right.
you solve those things live, whereas then you can become an architect for the customer experience rather than an administrator of the customer ticket. And I think that's what we're kind of revolutionizing, what we think is so interesting with Quimby.
Yeah, and I think as you're sharing, I'm just thinking about how many times I will call, I don't know, whether it's the phone company or an insurance company, just trying to resolve something over the phone, right? And how not only I get frustrated because the person over the phone, over no, the other end of the phone, maybe is taking too long, right? And now I'm thinking, well, all the data that they had to go through to find my case or find my account, and then retrieve the information, and then enter input whatever it is that I need and make the modification. And most of the times the customer gets frustrated because it's taking too long, want to hold for so long. And the person doing it, I'm just thinking from a workplace well-being lens per se, it's probably also frustrated because, like you said, it's not fun work, right? And then it becomes tedious and people, not enjoy as much. So then both the customer is frustrated and the employee is frustrated. It seems like Quimby kind of helps, make that relationship even better, right? Kind of satisfy
Yeah,
everybody at both ends and then increase the bottom line for the organization as well as a result.
that's right. That's right.
That is beautiful. So how can people access this technology? Like what's the process of, being able to put our hands on it per se?
Well, I think the just reach out to me at Jonathan at
Okay.
Quimby.ai. So it's QUIMBI.ai. You can also follow me on LinkedIn and we can
Mhm.
connect. We have a website, quimby.ai, QUIMBI.ai, where you can test drive the product and you can
Okay.
look at our intelligence center to learn a lot more about it. So I think
Mhm.
any of those sources are ways that you can engage with it, learn more about it. I also just love to talk to service leaders,
Yeah.
different folks that are focused on AI and thinking about new and interesting ways. So the first super agent we're creating is the engage one, which is the one we just talked about. The
Mhm.
next super agent that we're in the process of completing is a super agent that looks at intent. So what's the
Mm.
intent of the customer? And this works really well in a digital marketplace like gaming, e-commerce. What's the intent of the customer? And then how do you influence that intent to purchase your products?
Nice.
And so you really think about, well, what's the motivation behind the buyer?
Yeah.
Why are they at your site and how often have they been at your site? And what have they put in their cart or how often have they played your game and what have they almost bought but didn't buy? And how do you
Mm.
get them to that next level where they get joy from purchasing from you? And so
Mm.
that next super agent we're creating is really focused on intent because that's the next step in helping customers get more value, almost a 10x value out of that,
Yeah.
is to be like, oh, I want to be a lifetime customer with this brand because they look after me. They know exactly how to talk to me. It's hyper personalized. So how do we drive that? And we think that's the powerful next super agent that we're focused on.
That's pretty amazing. So now I'm just curious, like what's kind of the target, date for that one? Like when would that one be released?
It'll be done in about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay. So probably the time we air this episode, it will be done and ready to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
It's a
that's
it's a
good.
it's a fun new project we're working on. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that's really good. So for everyone listening or watching this, by the time you're listening or watching this, it will be ready. You can definitely reach out to Jonathan to see how your organization can benefit from that. And then I'm curious to um like which organizations are you targeting for the maybe not just targeting, but who do you think can benefit the most? Which type of organization? Like a small business? I know you mentioned e-commerce
Yeah, yeah.
and for the next one, for the new one that's coming out. But for Quimby itself, like the original one, can any service-based organization, business, industry,
Yeah.
benefit
Yeah.
from it?
That's right. So for the any organization that has a service team, which is almost every organization,
If one, yeah.
could benefit from Quimby Super Agent Engage. And then
Mm,
any business that has a commerce checkout, like a digital checkout. So you're thinking B2B businesses with SaaS offerings, D2C businesses that
mm,
sell like e-commerce, gaming commerce, any of those businesses would be interested in the super agent's intent.
yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. So I know now from the time we're recording this, you have 2 more weeks for that one to come out, for the intent to come out. And your work, this has been a lifetime journey for you, and I was kind of reading what you sent me previously. I'm like, you've been recognized, but you received the Wall Street Journal Lifetime Achievement Award. So do you feel like, okay, after I do this, have I arrived? Or there's more coming up? I'm pretty sure there's more you still want to do. So kind of, share a little bit about that, how it feels like to know that you achieve so much, right? And there's still that pull, that passion to do more.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Well, first of all, it was really kind to get the award.
Yeah.
Like, I was really grateful.
It's well deserved. It was not just a no, a little, oh, we'll do this because we're kind. You earned it, So that's
Yeah,
something to be proud of as well.
yeah, I agre. And I think that, like, for me, I was like, I have a different kind of mind, and uh, I have autism, and
Mhm.
so I think of things differently than a lot of other
Yeah,
people might
yeah.
think of things.
Mhm.
High functioning, but nonetheless.
Mhm.
And so I think there was like a week where I was like, that's cool. And that week had passed, and I'm like, okay, what's next?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what? Because my brain is very logical and
Mhm.
very kind of focused on algorithmic and systemic learning. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's cool. So I was 42 or 43, I think, when I got that 4 years ago. But what am I doing next? What is meaningful and purposeful that can help the system that I
Mm.
exist in to have more value? And so
Yeah.
it was really cool to get it. And at the same time, I was like, okay, I got to keep going. I
Yes.
got lots of interesting things to do. How can I help other people, if that makes sense?
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes total sense, and that again just shows your passion for this. You're not doing this for the recognition. You're doing this to make a difference, right?
Yeah.
And I do a lot of work supporting people who have autism. I have my own family members, and so whether it's at home or at work, I get the privilege and the honor to kind of dance in the autism dance, as I call it. And I have supported individuals, well, I remember like one gentleman in particular who he won the Employee of the Award. He was working at a grocery store, and although you think most people for a while that he's being recognized and he's got this award, it was the plaque on the wall and special parking space where in the parking lot and all of that. Well, that happened. I came up maybe like Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day of the week it was. The very next day he quit because
Mm,
people miss, like, and this is why I have to tell folks, all of us, it's getting to know people well enough to support them well. So the employee, the organization, sorry, thought they were doing something good for him, right? Like recognizing what he's doing, but the approach they took kind of shut him down because that's not what he wanted. That's not what he needed even, right? And but
yeah.
nobody knew him enough to understand that. So then anybody like, well, how come we gave him all this? And you get a nice award that came with with a bonus and so forth, and he left. I'm like, well, that was a little too loud of
Yeah. Yeah, too
recognition. He
much.
could have been just fine with coming to the inside the office and somebody saying you're doing a great work, we appreciate you. Here's a bonus check. He'd have been just fine with
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
And so
No,
sometimes,
it's true. It's true. I mean, I don't like to be the center of attention.
Mhm.
I don't mind being recognized, but I don't like to be the center of attention.
Intention,
And I
right?
like to just like do my thing, and I like to, as I often say, since I think in systems, I think of the world as a system.
Yeah.
And so I like to engage with the system when in my time of my own choosing to help make
Mhm.
impact for my life and others. And then I
Yeah.
like to disconnect from the system too, because the system can be quite overwhelming.
True.
And so I have to find like the right ways to connect, provide value, and then disconnect
Yeah.
to be myself. So yeah, so I totally appreciate your story.
Yeah, and the freedom to do in your own terms. I think for many of us, no diversion or not, I think all of us value that freedom, right? And so I love how you say like being in the system to provide value, but then also having the freedom, the flexibility to pull away when you just need to recoup and not
That's
be in the
right.
spotlight
That's
per
right.
se. And yeah, it's a balancing act there for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you again
Yeah, of
for all
course.
that you do. Thank you for sharing your story here with us and your work with us. And we'll be sure to share those links. You and I can connect. We'll connect later to gather all the information from you and share here with the audience. And if I may if this is not okay, feel free to let me know that, to say pass. But I was just thinking as we're talking here, thinking about even my own children. I'm thinking about other young adults and even, most older adults who might be on the spectrum, who might be neurodivergent, feeling like they don't fit in a certain, they don't fit in the world to begin with. That's the sense that many get, right? And sometimes have really great ideas like yours and not feel like they have the courage and definitely often not the support to go through
Yeah.
with their ideas and make the impact they want to make. Like, could you just take maybe a minute or so to kind of speak to someone who might be in that situation and to encourage them and maybe their, tips and tricks that you learn along the way, and that could be beneficial to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really a noble thing to ask me to give advice on. So hopefully I'll provide good advice. So I think generally speaking, like there's two or three things I might say. So the first one I would say is you have to know yourself and you
Yeah.
have to know when you need to, what are your life hacks to reground yourself and come back to reality, because you can get overwhelmed really easily. Everybody on
Yeah.
the spectrum has different sensitivities. So I have high sensitivities to sound,
Mm.
to textures, to emotion.
Yeah.
And so I know that those are my high sensitivities. So then throughout the day, I have to build in breaks so that I
Mm.
can take a break from being overwhelmed. Even a small amount of those sensitivities, if you don't pay attention to it and take a quick break, it mounds up over time. And what that does for a person like me is it creates a lot of unnecessary stress. So
Yeah.
if I don't take the breaks, then I get stressed and I get overwhelmed when I wouldn't normally be overwhelmed and stressed if I took the breaks. So I think it's important for everyone to know like what's my hack. Like I do a little
Yeah.
meditation as well when I
Yes.
take my breaks to help ground me. So I think everybody will be different, but find out that
Right.
that thing you got to do 10 to 15 minutes a day and then give yourself permission to go and do it.
Mm.
Schedule it, whatever it is. So that's the first thing I would say is know thyself and then build a system around you to help you succeed. And then I think the second thing to think about is oftentimes like when I had to go through like 25 years of therapy
Mm.
and emotional quotient training to
Yeah.
actually read a person's facial cues. So I can read facial cues now and other things, but a lot of folks that are on the spectrum, can't, and I couldn't
Struggle
for
with
many
that.
years.
Right.
And so what I would say is it's okay that you don't pick up everything.
Mm.
It's okay that, that everything that's going on around you, it's okay that you don't pick it up. Like you don't be so hard on yourself that you're not going to pick up everything that a neurotypical will pick up in the situation, but your
Yeah.
mind will think of things that a neurotypical will never think.
Never think. Right.
And so you have to like lean into your strengths and understand like, okay, this is what I'm really good at. Like, then
Mm.
how do I now plug into a community that values this? Right.
Yeah.
And really think about that. And I think that's super important. And then I think the third thing that I would say is, and this is on the courage space, I never
Mm.
intended to be an entrepreneur. I
Mm.
was kind of just like, hey, I worked for Microsoft and another Symantec, Autodesk, some really
Mm.
nice large companies with a lot of security around them. I mean, yes, they
Mm.
have layoffs, but generally security. And it wasn't until I was like in my mid 30s that my wife was like, hey, I don't think it's working with these big companies. You get
Mm.
frustrated after 2 years, you come up with ideas that nobody wants to implement.
Mm.
So maybe you should go work for a startup because it's more fast moving.
Mhm.
They need a different type of a thinker, and so forth, and maybe you'd be better. And that's really been a piece of magic
Wow.
feedback from my wife was working for a startup. It's not perfect. It has other stresses,
Mhm.
but it's helped unlock my mind, and that might not be right for everybody on the spectrum. But I think finding a company where like you can be a little bit more yourself and
Yeah.
not feel like you have to conform to neurotypical behavior, I think
Mhm.
is super important for anybody that's like on the spectrum. Uh,
Yeah.
and then you get more courage because you're in an environment where people are like, hey, I like what Jonathan said, or I like
Mhm.
what James said, or Janice, or whoever. That's an
Yeah.
interesting idea. Why don't we like listen to that person and see what they have to say more, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
yeah, so those might be three pieces of advice, but at the end of the day, like you're pretty special the way you are, whoever's listening to this,
Mhm.
and just lean into your specialness and don't beat yourself up on the fact that you're not like the neurotypicals because you're not intended to be like them.
Yeah. Yeah, well said, well said. And I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful way for us to close here today. And no, I take that and definitely will be, sharing that with others and, even with myself. Just, I think it's as human, being able to honor our, unique strengths and, and being, giving yourself permission to be yourselves and now needing to be like anybody else. Because
Yeah,
we're unique just as we are. So
100.
thank you again, Jonathan. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all that you do. And thanks definitely for those last words of wisdom there.
Yeah,
Until
thank you
next
for the
time.
time and the opportunity. Until next time.
Yeah. For everyone listening or watching, thanks for being here with us. As we often say, sharing is caring. So share this out with others who can definitely benefit from it. And as we often also say here, we wish you well. We want you to be well, do well, work well, and lead well. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to the Chat with Chou podcast. We hope today's episode inspired and informed you on your journey towards growth. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Follow Chou on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and more resources. Until next time, take care and keep striving for well-being and belonging in all areas of your life.